Within your research work and your field studies, what type of capacities do you think have been indispensable, and how did you end up developing them? What experiences helped you sort of polish those capacities?
So I think one thing that I would say definitely as a general thing also was that a habit of reading. I think that that came about as very helpful. Not only reading, but a very non-specific sort of reading. Often those who like biology read a lot about animals, you know, old accounts of natural history and so on, which is of course fantastic. But I think having a lot of non-specific reading somehow it was that helped in a big way. And I think in general also, I think students increasingly so in a very distracted sort of age that we are in need to have a very broad grasp of change around them first, whether it's political change, whether it's economic change, social change, and how it ultimately connects to the species that we love and want to save. I think having that grasp only can come through regular reading, which is non-specific, uh, starting right from newspapers to virtually anything that they come across, fiction, non-fiction, whatever. So I think that is a capacity that no course can teach really, but I think that is very important, and I definitely benefited with whatever I was somehow able to read and grasp before getting into professional courses and so on. The other thing that helped me a lot was quantitative skills, and I think because of my own training as a in my bachelor's as a zoologist, you are not never taught these things in a very conventional setting, which I was in. Of course, now there are schools like APU itself where there's a lot of emphasis on cross-disciplinary learning and all, but we didn't have that. So for us, statistics was our enemy, our most hated and feared subject. And I would get good marks, in, for example, in my 12th standard, I got uh, a full score in my mathematics, but I didn't know mathematics at all. And that realization only comes up when you are asked to apply all that XY stuff that you learn in your school, and you can't. So in my masters, I think because of the teachers we had there, both for mathematics and statistics, that fear went away. I was really, really deeply afraid of these two. But you need good teachers to teach you the way that it clicks. And for me, luckily, it happened. And now, of course, gradually, I have over the years been able to develop and fill that gap. I also teach statistics regularly now. So, that way it has been one skill that I never thought I would be able to take on, but luckily it happened. And I think that is one important area. Biologists are often, including myself at a point, we were like simply averse to the idea of having to learn math, because that's why we chose biology in the first place, right? So but I think mathematics is ultimately the thing that is going to help make sense of a lot of biological observation, also for the species that anyone wishes to protect or conserve or whatever. So I think these two things really helped. Yeah. Read more non-specific stuff, read more in their local languages, their mother tongue, for example. I think increasingly we see we interact with students who have read less and less, from say batch to batch. And what it is something to really consider seriously, because reading is not just for, just for the sake of reading, but also because it helps in writing better. Because a lot of conservation related or ecology related work is related to writing about what we saw, whether it's research or whether it's advocacy type of stuff. And I think that's a major gap. I think my small advice would be to definitely work on these two things. A general, because reading and writing enable a better synthesis of multiple ideas that gradually students are going to be exposed to in their professional courses that they take and so on. That synthesis is important for effective communication, whether it's in a spoken or written medium. I think they're working on these aspects is important. Secondly, I would say that especially city students in particular need to spend more and more time learning basic natural history. I think that is also a skill that is gradually eroded or eroding for various reasons. I think it's also important. Many students are doing some wonderful, excellent documentation of the biodiversity they see around them. They use their cameras, they put it up on social media platforms. It's all really wonderful to see that there is so much interest about identifying species, being outdoors, recording them. But I think at the same time, there has to be a broader understanding of natural history and ecology by visiting places and learning from ecologists who give us a grounding on those aspects. Identifying species is one thing, but really understanding their ecology and basic biology, I think, is very, very important. That is again a thing we see in biologists who are exposed to a lot of theoretical stuff, increasingly younger student biologists, but who, you take them out and they're not able to narrow down to basic plants, for example, or just to know where they are in terms of the geography and geology of a particular area. And I think by natural history, I mean this, that one has to pay attention to these kinds of details, because that will definitely help them in getting a better grasp of the areas of interest that they have. So I think students have to increasingly get out and meet people also, not just go to interesting ecological places, but also meet people who still live on the margins of our society, so to say. It could be fishermen, it could be grazers, herders, it could be other kinds of nomadic communities. And meeting them definitely will give a better, a very different idea of what shapes the relationship between society and ecology, or human society and ecology, which I think will be a very important learning for these students, which these are things that one will have to develop on their own. And ultimately, the aim being a better understanding of the world around us and what to conserve, why to conserve the species that we like or we are interested in. So I think these three things broadly are essential, and an effort in this direction will help students.